Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back in with another sequence video. This is in Jeremiah 24 to 25. So I'll just read the parts that honor the sequence. And so first, usually always a reference to salvation. So Jeremiah 24:5, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, like these good figs, so I will regard as good the exiles from Judah, whom I have sent away from this place to the land of the Chaldeans. I will set my eyes on them for good, and I will bring them back to this land. I will build them up, not tear them down. And so this is a reference to salvation. This group that's going to be taken away, they're going to return with Christ to perform the final wrath. So just know that. Verse 8 now goes into the time of the Great Tribulation, once the elect are taken away. But thus says the Lord, like the bad figs that are so bad they cannot be eaten, so will I treat Zedekiah the king of Judah, his officials, the remnant of Jerusalem who remain in this land, and all those who dwell in the land of Egypt. So in modern day, it's America. I will make them a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth, to be a reproach, a byword, a taunt, and a curse in all the places where I shall drive them, and I will send sword, famine, and pestilence upon them. Okay, so this is the Great Tribulation, Revelation 18:8 and Revelation 16. And they shall be utterly destroyed from the land that I give to them and their fathers. Okay, and moreover, I will banish them from the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness and the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the grinding of the millstones. Okay, and the light of the lamps. And so there's going to bring darkness. The grinders will cease. There's another verse that talks about that. I believe it's in Ecclesiastes. And the whole land shall become a ruin and a waste. And these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And so this in end times is talking about America being the first point of destruction, in the last days. Verse 14, for many nations and great kings shall make slaves even of them, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and the work of their hands. So this is a reference to the other nations turning on America, and then destroying it, with missiles. And so that's, again, consistent with the narrative in Revelation. Okay, and then now we have references to the wrath of God. Thus the Lord, the God of Israel, said to me, take from my hand this cup of the wine of wrath, okay, and make all the nations to whom I send you drink it. They shall drink and stagger and be crazed because of the sword that I am sending among them. Okay, so now this is the final destruction. And then in verse 18, to make them a desolation and a waste. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, his servants, his officials, all his people, and all the mixed tribes among them, all the kings of the land of Uz, and the kings of the land of the Philistines, Ashkelon, Gaza, Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom, Moab, and the sons of Ammon, all the kings of Tyre, all the kings of Sidon, all the kings of the coastland across the sea. So it lists all of them. Elam, the kings of the north, far and near, one after another, and all the kingdoms of the world that are on the face of the earth. So this is, again, in the last days, talking about the final wrath of God with everybody with the mark of the beast. Verse 27, this is in the last days, God's elect. Then you shall say to them, thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, drink, be drunk, and vomit, fall and rise no more, because of the sword that I'm sending among you. That's in verse 27:14, God's elect. Verse 30, you therefore shall prophesy against them all these words and say to them, the Lord will roar from on high. This is Christ returning in the sky in these so-called UFOs. And from his holy habitation utter his voice. He will roar mightily against his fold and shout like those who tread grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. The clamor will resound to the ends of the earth, for the Lord has an indictment against the nations. He is entering into judgment with all flesh. Okay. And the wicked will be put to the sword, declares the Lord. Verse 32, thus says the Lord of hosts, behold, disaster is going forth from nation to nation, and a great tempest is stirring from the farthest parts of the earth. And those pierced by the Lord on that day shall extend from one end of the earth to the other. So this is talking about in the last days. They shall not be lamented or gathered or buried. They shall be dung on the surface of the ground. You just leave them. It's all going to be replenished anyway. Wail, you shepherds, and cry out, and roll in ashes, you lords of the flock. For the days of your slaughter and dispersion have come, and you shall fall like a choice vessel. No refuge will remain for the shepherds, nor escape for the lords of the flock. A voice, the cry of the shepherds, and the wail of the lords of the flock. For the Lord is laying waste their pasture, and the peaceful folds are devastated because of the fierce anger of the Lord. Like a lion he has left his lair, for their land has become a waste because of the sword of the oppressor and because of his fierce anger. Okay, so, again, this is the wrath of God where he's destroying his entire left-hand side and just leave them, like it says there, they shall be like dung on the surface of the ground. Okay, so Jeremiah 24:25 reaffirms the sequence perfectly. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.